If you're serious about becoming a professional pilot, let me pose a question that you very well might be asking yourself and see if we can come up with an answer. Should you temporarily relocate to do your flight training? The answer is maybe. The opportunities are out there. Nobody likes to move. That's just written in granite someplace. Moving is a pain in the butt. It's just expensive and annoying, and what do I bring with me? What do I leave behind? Of course, you have family and friends that you're leaving behind. It's a difficult emotional decision as well as a financial decision, and with any other parameters you might want to put to it. Moving is not all that much fun. But having said that, it might be the way to accelerate your training and get you on the path to being a professional pilot faster. And that could have huge ramifications for your financial future. When I first started flying, I was in New York City. I was a professional musician. I lived in Greenwich Village. I started flying just to learn to fly. I had no intention of doing this for a living. It was a really inefficient way to go, and I spent a lot of money not making a whole lot of progress. Once I decided I wanted to make that shift to becoming a professional pilot, that was going to be my career, I did what I might suggest anyone do, at least consider: relocate, especially to the Sun Belt. Places like Florida, Texas, Arizona are huge meccas of flight training. As a matter of fact, that's where the majority of the pilots in the world are trained, in the American Sun Belt. There's a lot of good reasons for that. Part of it's the weather, part of it is the availability of facilities, part of it is the talent pool that's there. There are a whole lot of reasons to consider it. The big one against it is it's a little scary. I get that. Wherever you are in the world, you might seriously consider, if you want to become a professional pilot, how do I accelerate that progress? Because spending years to achieve any goal, that might not be as good as spending months to achieve that same goal. Even from a financial aspect, just knocking it out and getting to the part where you get paid to fly instead of paying to fly, that's a game changer. Accelerated programs really do work. And some people don't like that term, accelerated program. They think there's something shady about it. All it really means is you fly more often. When I first started and I lived in New York City, I flew once a week, maybe twice a week. When I went to a real flight program here in Florida, where I ended up making my life, I was flying 4, 5, 6 times a week. It changes everything. You're really making progress then, and your muscle memory, the sight picture, all the things you have to pick up, those little skills that you really can't get out of a book, you have to get them in the aircraft, all of a sudden that starts happening much faster. Let me give you an example. I just had a reason to go down to Vero Beach Regional Airport in Vero Beach, Florida. It's right on the coast. It's called the Treasure Coast because long ago, a whole series of treasure ships sank off the coast and people still find gold and silver and emeralds. It's kind of a cool place. That's a really important airport to me, though, because I did my flight instructor ride out of Vero Beach and I did my multi-engine instructor ride out of Vero Beach. I didn't go to flight school there. That's just where I did my flight check for those 2 certificates, and that ended my official student days and put me into the professional category. And that was the case for hundreds of other students who I went to school with, many of whom I'm still in touch with today, 30 some odd years later, many of whom fly for the airliners and the big freighters and some really interesting charter work. It really did work for us. And it might work for you too. I was giving a safety presentation for the Treasure Coast FAA safety team at the Skyborne Airline Academy classrooms. It's a great place, and it's a really good example of why you might consider relocating from some place where it's not as conducive to your schedule or to the equipment available to you to be flying. Skyborne is not the only option. There are plenty of places like this scattered all over the southern United States, and there are some in the northern tier as well. But one of the things you really want to consider is the fleet. What do they have available for aircraft? Skyborne has a whole fleet of single and twin engine aircraft. They fly Pipers, and it makes sense because Piper Aircraft is located right there on the field at Vero Beach. Literally, the factory is on the other side of the administration building from the flight school. Not only is that convenient for accessing aircraft and getting technical advice, if you're one of those people who thinks, I want to be a company pilot, I want to be a test pilot, I want some involvement with a manufacturer, all the networking opportunities are right there. Beyond that, places like Skyborne, they have the classrooms, they have the simulators, they have housing, everything you could possibly need to just live a fully aeronautical life for a period of time while you're in school working on your certificates and ratings. It's all right there. It's a soup to nuts program that really does provide the opportunity for you to come from wherever you are to wherever you want to be and just immerse yourself in aeronautical education. You also live in an area that is packed with other flight students. So there are other people all around you who are going through the exact same thing you are. Some are a little ahead of you, some are a little behind you. That all mixes in to give you some really great learning opportunities. And I can't overstate the networking possibilities because some of these folks, mom or dad is a chief pilot at an airline or a check pilot someplace or a captain for a charter company. They all give you the opportunity to make connections that just might lead to a job down the road. Beyond the stress of moving temporarily, you're worried about the money. I get it. The financial aspect of flight training is a challenge for most people. But think of it this way. You're investing in yourself. You're acquiring a series of certificates and ratings that are going to put you in a very, very small sliver of the population who have a highly sought after skill. And because there are very few people who do it, and it is so needed to the national economy, the global economy, the ability to move people and products all around the world, you're likely to earn a pretty darn good paycheck. Even though that price tag may seem daunting, and it could be as high as $100,000, when you balance that towards what your income is likely to be later in your career, not starting pay isn't good in any career. Later on, and I mean 3, 5, 10 years down the road, you're talking about a six-figure career. Many of these accelerated academies offer financing, or if they don't individually do it, they can connect you to an entity that can help you with financing that educational process. And that can be a big number, and that can be daunting. But let's temper that idea just for a moment with where that leads you. Acquiring these certificates and ratings, and yes, perhaps acquiring the debt that goes along with it, is actually a good economic decision for a great many of us. If your intent is to become an airline pilot, a charter pilot, somebody who's going to be flying turbine aircraft down the road, that's very, very doable. That is in your future, and those jobs will be available, and you'll be prepared to take them. When you get to that point, which is just a few years down the road, you're looking at a six-figure income. If you're currently at a low to mid five-figure income, taking on that debt, going to flight school where you can accelerate the program and be done and working within a year, that's a game changer. That can really change the future of your life and your entire family's life economically. Not only are you doing all your training in one place with a fleet of aircraft you become familiar with very quickly, you're getting all your training done in a confined period of time. It's also a really good precursor to what you're going to find when you go to the airlines because these are structured programs. This isn't just walking in your local CFIs like, so what do you want to do today? You know your entire training syllabus from the first day. If you're willing to take the time and work with your CFIs, your flight instructors, and work with your ground instructors and look at the syllabus, you literally can tell on day one what the next 6 or 9 months is going to look like. Almost exactly. There will be weather outs. That happens everywhere. There may be a maintenance problem somewhere down the road. But when you're at a school that's got a substantial fleet of aircraft, the idea of you having an extended period of downtime because an aircraft isn't available or because the weather is so bad for an extended period of time or there's snow on the runway and we can't get rid of it in time, that's probably not going to happen. If you're looking for an airline career, and many of us are, the idea is to get there as quickly and competently as possible because the length of time you spend at the airline translates to income, and that can be a substantial amount of income and a very enjoyable career. Think of it this way. If you played around at the local FBO, the local flight school, and it took you 5 years to get all your ratings, which is not unheard of. Well, if you take that 5 years you spent at the local where somebody else relocated and went to an academy and was done in a year, they could make it to that airline 3, 4, even 5 years earlier than you do. That means they have 3, 4, or 5 years of additional airline pay, and that's at the top end of their pay scale, not at the bottom. Everybody starts at the starting pay. We work our way up as we go. The longer you spend at the high end, that can be a substantial amount of money. 5 years at an airline, an additional 5 years could easily equate to more than an additional $1 million of income. Could be more, depending on where you work and how often you fly. This is all something you should be thinking about if you're really thinking about becoming an airline pilot or just a career pilot, somebody who flies professionally. You want to get into it as deeply as you can, as effectively as you can, and that includes cost. To tell you the truth, sometimes just biting the bullet, going to one of these accelerated academies and knocking out all your training in 1 year or less, nothing against local flight schools. They do a great job and they serve their purpose. I own an interest in a couple flight schools. I think they're fantastic. But if we're talking about you and we're talking about your future, maybe this is a good time to think about getting to that goal as quickly and efficiently as possible. And that might mean relocating. Thanks for watching. Please click the like button down below. Leave us a comment if you would, because we love getting input from the viewers to let us know what you're thinking, because in all honesty, the reason this channel is growing so rapidly is because of you, the viewers. More subscribers every week, more comments on the videos every time one comes out, more likes, and we do appreciate all that. So come on back and see us next time. Let us know if you want to hear anything specific. And between now and the next time I see you, maybe think a little bit about the possibility of relocating. It might pay off in the long run. It sure has for a whole lot of people I know.